Okay, so if you're here, then you most likely weren't a part of our time traveler project, or either that or you're looking for some more practice. But what we need to do is go back into our player health script because we're going to add some methods to regenerate health for our player as well as take damage when an enemy attacks us. So what we need to do is hop into player health. We are going to say after our void update down here, we're going to give ourselves some room, and we're going to start by adding a method that's called take damage. So we're going to say public void take damage. We want a capital T there, take damage. And we're going to say integer damage. This is going to function almost identically to the way it does in our NPC health script. So what we're going to say is health equals to health minus damage. It's going to be how we remove health from our player. We're going to say health bar dot value is equal to health. There we go. And we're going to say health text dot text is equal to health dot toString. And our open and close parentheses there. And then what we need to do is add a conditional that says if our health is less than or equal to 0, that is if our player has died, we want to say our game over object, we want to set that to active, and we'll say true there. We want to unlock our player's cursor so that they can exit the game, so we'll say cursor.lockState equals cursor.lockMode.none. And then finally, we want to set our time.timescale equal to 0. And what that line does is essentially freeze time for our player so that when they get a game over, they are no longer able to move around and play the game. Next up, we need to go into our health regen coroutine. And in order to make a coroutine, we start that function by saying I enumerator, not enumerable. That's what IntelliSense will want to say, but we want enumerator. It also helps us spell it correctly. There we go. And we're going to say I enumerator health regen. And open and close parentheses. And inside that health regen coroutine, we want to say yield return new, because every coroutine requires this yield return line in order to function. We're going to say yield return new wait for seconds 1f. What that's going to do is that when this code is called, it's going to pause on this line for 1 whole second. Oh, we got to make sure this is a semicolon and not a 1. But it's going to pause on this line for 1 whole second, which is exactly what we want. And then we're going to say if our health is less than our max health, we're going to add our health regen amount. So we're going to say health equals health plus health regen amount. And again, that's going to make it so our player regenerates their health over time if they've taken damage. And then what we want to do at the end is say start coroutine quotations health regen. And what that's going to do is make it so that when our health regen finishes giving us our 1 health, which is what our health regen amount is, it's going to loop itself again so that our player is constantly regenerating health. What we now want to do is grab the start coroutine line by highlighting it. We're going to press Control or Command C and copy it. And we're going to paste it up in our start function so that right when the game starts, our player will begin that health regen loop. And now that we've got our take damage function ready and our player health script is just about finished, we actually need to go back over to our NPC script by switching into Unity and opening up NPC here. And what we want to do is set up the code for our NPCs to actually deal damage. So inside, we need to scroll down into the last coroutine we wrote, our attack delay coroutine. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of space at the top. We're going to copy this wait for seconds attack delay line by highlighting it, pressing Control or Command C, and then clicking our top line here and pressing Control or Command V. And now we've got 2 of these wait for seconds lines, but we still want our attack, we want the total amount of time that we're waiting inside our attack delay to be this attack delay value. So since we have 2 of them, we're going to divide them both by 2. And that's going to make it so this first one is half as long and the second one is half as long, meaning that when both of these finish, we'll be at a value of, or an equivalent value of the first yield return, which was just attack delay. Now, in between these yield return news, what we want to say is find object of type player underscore health, and add our open and close parentheses at the end, and take damage damage. So that's going to mean is if our enemy is able to attack us, they're going to deal damage if we're inside of, or if we get close enough for them to attack and they attack us, they will deal damage. Now, this isn't quite complete. We want to add one more check inside this attack delay function. And what we want to check here is if our enemy is still close enough, because there is going to be about a half a second that passes between when the attack begins and when we take damage. So we're going to actually do almost an identical check as we did here. We're going to say if vector3.distance between this.transform.position, comma, my destination.position. If we're going to say if that is less than 1 instead of 3, we want it to be a little bit closer. If it's less than 1, then we will deal damage. And that's because while 3 is enough for them to start attacking, 3 is actually a bit of a reach for them to actually hit the player. So if they're less than 1 unit away, then we know for certain that our player is close enough to actually take damage from our NPC. And then we want to go ahead and make sure we save that script, as well as double checking that we saved our player health script. And it'll even say, if you've got your Visual Studio or something hooked up right, it'll say we have one reference. That's going to be that line we just added. And now our player will actually take damage when they are attacked by the enemy.